Hi, this is the bad boy, Joey Janela, and you're listening to the Going in Raw podcast. Joey Janela always goes in.
This is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, and you are listening to Going in Raw.
Hey everyone, Kenny Omega here. In case you didn't know, we have an awesome kick-butt show called Steve and Larson's Going in Raw, and they're going to be supporting AEW every week amongst many other things. Goodbye and smooch. Good night.
Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
Yeah, welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found, and of course, taped live at the Twitch, twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Double or Nothing 2021 is in the books. Packed crowd there at Daly's place. It was kind of cool to see people back popping for stars, popping for things like Sting, looking like it was 1989 again. Lots of really, really fun stuff. Lots of really cool stuff. Maybe a little on the predictable side. Yes. We do have a new women's champion in AEW, Britt Baker. What was your biggest takeaway from Double or Nothing this year, man?
Should we just get into the Cody thing right now?
No. Let's start with what was the coolest thing to see, man.
I mean, most of the matches were really good, save for Cody's. It was even Cody's match, while it was somewhat underwhelming, I thought Ogogo had a great showing. I don't think he's been trading very long, maybe a year.
Yeah.
He's got what we've seen of him thus far was very limited to, he was a former Olympic boxer, so he's going to punch people, you know?
Sure.
So it was nice to see him with a wide, fairly, for someone having their first protracted match, arsenal of moves. He had frog splash. He had a couple other things. He looked good in the ring.
His frog splash looked pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, he looked smooth.
Mm-hmm.
Sting looked great at 62 years old.
He looked amazing.
Eating a suplex on the stage, no selling it.
He looked great. They used Sting perfectly, absolutely perfectly in that match. That was definitely, in my opinion, sort of the most entertaining. It wasn't the best pure wrestling match. There was plenty of good wrestling in it, but just, from I didn't expect Sting to look that good match. Mm-hmm. And they planned out some really awesome bits for him, which is really, again, all you need to do. If he's going to have a small handful of live matches, maybe 2 a year for a couple of years, if he wants to do that, if he's able to keep doing that.
As long as his body can hold up,
This was a hell of a showing for him, and they really played to what he could still do. I was wildly entertained by that.
Yeah, every match was pretty darn entertaining.
This was
we got a surprise winner of the Battle Royal. We also kind of seemed that Christian was going to be the shoe-in to win.
Yeah, I felt Jungle Boy had a good chance. I kind of regret not picking him, but I guess we can just hop into that. Congratulations to the Enforcer.
Yes.
For coming away with the most points today in predictions.
Yes.
He gets the trios title for at least another week.
At least a week.
Because Dominion's coming up, and this will be back on the line.
Yeah.
He's now a two-time
a week from tomorrow, I think it's
he also gets
Dominion happens.
Forrest Gump.
Turn it the other way. There you go.
Videotape that I found in my dad's collection of videotapes because he doesn't want his videotapes
I have a copy too.
Anymore.
So next time I have to send him something, he's getting another copy.
The third time he wins trios, he's going to get another Forrest Gump tape.
Potentially, if I send it to him. Here's the thing.
And of course,
in one sense,
this guy's staying here.
Yeah, I could have, if I had just picked with how I thought was going to happen, I would have got that from you.
I've lost times when I went out on a ledge too. That happens.
I know.
It happens.
I'm not using that as an excuse because here's the thing. One, it came down to the end, which is how we want it to go.
True.
True. Down to the very last match, I could have walked away with both belts. Two, it keeps the drama for Ultimo Steve for Dominion. If I had won the AEW belt, Ultimo Steve off the table already.
Oh my gosh.
Keeps the drama high for Dominion.
I know. I can't imagine you having any better win than what you had this past week when you carried us to becoming new Quizlemania Tag Champions, Church of Friendos. But the road to Ultimo goes through New Japan. If I can pick up trios and a big whatever we're calling IWGP,
it's back there somewhere.
Steve will truly be Ultimo. But enough of that tomfoolery. Did want to give a shout out to everybody who joined us today for the live streaming, of course, including Enforcer, but all the friendos there in chat as well. I think we
had up over nearly 900 people watching at one point.
Oh, was that our peak? Okay, yeah, that's great. So. That's really fantastic.
I noticed. I know. So thank you so much, everybody who tuned in. Like we said, it's a really fun show, top to bottom. Outside of a lack of surprises, really fun show. In my mind, the only kind of misstep, and not a major one, well, actually, it's a pretty major one, was Cody picking up the win.
Yeah, I mean, like you said,
for us, this was really the litmus test in terms of how self-aware he is. And then when he comes out in entrance gear that looks a lot like Homelander, and then wins.
So I've said, and you're right,
this passed that litmus test.
This goes back probably like a year, I guess. How I felt Cody was self-aware in that he was being a sort of Triple H type character. You know, I mean, it played out in the most obvious fashion, not just tonight, but during the Sonic Ring ladder match thing. What was that? What was that match called?
It was Face of the Revolution ladder
match. Thank you. Yes. Where Cody gets hurt and, you know, him being an EVP, he's the one behind this. He says, hey, at no time am I ever to be out of frame. So even when I'm way in the background, you have to at least, if I'm on the edge, whatever, my story will be complete. It's a very selfish way of doing things. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting because he's doing that on purpose, knowing that he's telling some crazy story about him being basically a Triple H guy. You know, what people think of as Triple H is the Reign of Terror guy, right? And then it's like, okay, so now he cuts this promo a month ago where he basically sets up Anthony Ogogo as your typical foreign anti-American heel, which is the most played out trope in pro wrestling. And we're like, oh, wow. Because then Ogogo gets on social media and cuts his promo about like how not everybody has healthcare. He starts doing he's making some good points, you know. Things are more gray than they are black and white. And then we get to this match and it's like, okay, well, man, what if Cody tells like a cool story here? Hey, you know, he's cutting this like, oh, yay is us promo. Well, if Ogogo wins, that's awesome. That's great. That's not really, you know, that's like a Rocky IV Act 1 thing, you know?
Yeah. And then when he comes out with the Homelander gear, it's like, okay, if he loses, then yes, maybe he is telling that story.
Yeah, because it was Homelander. Yeah. Like that, it was, and for those of you who don't know, watch the Boys on Netflix. You know her time. He's basically Superman,
it's
but
Amazon Prime.
Oh, it's on Amazon. That's right.
Yeah, it's not on Netflix. It's on Amazon. It's a good show. It's really good show.
It's really good.
But yeah, he was totally cosplaying as Homelander, and he comes out with that gear, and it's like, okay, well now if he takes an L here, yes, I get the story.
Unless there's a longer con, Larson. Unless there's more to it. He was announced as a soon-to-be dad. I mean, I should have at the gender reveal. I should have known the gender reveal. But I still can maybe it's a long con, Larson. Maybe he's telling.
What's the end game? What's the end game then? Explain that to me. Because here's the thing: you have the factory break away from Nightmare Family. Ogogo's the guy to get that win.
Yeah,
he's the guy, like the first wrestler they've really trained in-house.
Mm-hmm.
That's been developed basically completely by AEW as Ogogo, and he's got the look, he's got the charisma, he's good on the mic, as we saw tonight. He's taken to the pro wrestling thing pretty quickly. Like, he's the guy that should be the one that beats Cody.
So I agree with you totally. I'll say this. I'm going to push on this being the litmus test. Only for this reason. If Cody ever actually goes heel and references all this stuff, if he lays out, if it's all laid out like, oh, it's all building this moment where he actually is a heel, maybe then I'll be like, oh, okay. So I'm going to push. But right now, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good.
I feel like I've seen what I need to see right now. I'm if evidence comes along that changes my mind, but I feel like, because you were, you had your theory about the ladder match and how it was all related to some kind of meta story related to Triple H, something going on there. I was like, no, I felt like he was just hogging the spotlight and taking away from the action that was going on in the ring.
It was so blatant, though. It was so obvious and like ham-fisted.
I know.
I just didn't figure anybody would be that. Like, who just says, "Hey, make sure I'm in the frame." It was cartoonish how long he was in the frame.
It was infuriating because you have a match going on in the ring and you're taking away from people performing in the ring.
Yeah, I know. I have to walk all that back stuff now.
I found it just utterly irritating.
Yeah,
because I want to be paying attention to what's going on in the ring. The people are actually wrestling. They're not selling an injury in the tunnel.
Yeah,
for 2/3 of the match.
The funny thing, it's funny. I'm just trying to do something here. Also says the only person benefiting from a Cody feud is MJF, and that's totally right. It's like Cody actually did use his position to put over a guy who I think was probably in a position to be a bit more ready than Ogogo was tonight or right now.
Yeah, you can make that case, but if that's the case, then don't get into this feud yet. You know?
Yeah, I know, because it really doesn't do much for Ogogo. Like it does. You know what's going to happen? He's going to go around gut punching more people. I mean, who's he going to get into feuds with? I mean, yeah, there's plenty of people that he can get into feuds with, I guess. But like, I don't know, man. I think you had an opportunity to make a really shocking move here. And honestly, you can do it. You can play it with the Ogogo being dirty. You can have before. How many matches had all sorts of stuff going on before the bell even rang tonight? Plenty.
I know. Virtually all of them.
All they do when they come out. The funny thing about Cody's match too is that for what I think he wanted to do, it felt. The big fight feel that it should have had felt very underwhelming. I'd have thought Cody was going to come out with like a big entourage and Ogogo was going to come out with a big entourage.
Well, that's the thing. They tried to do that at the weigh-in, and that fell flat.
And well, they didn't do anything though.
I know.
Yeah.
I think they were trying to hype it up as like huge. This is a huge event. It's a huge fight, and they try to emulate the kind of tension at these. Excuse me. Weigh-ins at boxing matches.
Yeah.
And it just fell flat because nothing happened.
If anybody's listening to you, it legit sounds like you're just getting emotional about this, but you just have a really dry mouth.
No, it's because I had before I got started, I ate some Brussels sprout salad with some bacon. Okay. And apparently I just inhaled and there's a little piece of stray Brussels sprout in my mouth.
I thought you were going to say right before we got started. Remember those hot nuts? I decided to have 4 and 5 right before we started.
Oh, if that was the case, I'd be like salivating all over the place, because that's the thing those nuts did to me, is just make me produce so much saliva.
That was ridiculous. Even like the first one did that. Let's just dive into it and we'll get there when we'll get there.
All right, fair enough. So the show kicked off in the buy-in with Riho challenging Serena Deeb for the NWA Women's title.
Bit of a triple threat match, because it was Riho versus Serena Deeb versus the Sun. Because my God, that was out in full force. It was
setting at Daly's place, and like the whole side of the ring, that side of the ring was just looked like blinding sunlight.
Yeah.
They overcame the elements, if you will, and put on a hell of a match. Serena Deeb, you put her in the ring against anybody, she's going to get a good match. Riho's great.
Yep.
Deeb, going back to her tried and true formula of working over the legs, hits a few dragon screw leg whips on Riho. Riho does make a bit of a comeback. She hits a double stomp, and then later on one to Serena's back.
Yeah.
At one point, Deeb hits a double, both legs at the same time. Dragon screw leg whip, followed with a power bomb that gets her a 2 count. She goes for Deeb talks. Riho backdrops her, hits the snapdragon. She goes up top, hits the double stomp to Deeb's back.
Yeah.
While she's kind of like standing up and leaning over. Goes for a shining wizard. Deeb counters that with a single leg crab. Riho gets to the bottom rope. Then Deeb hits her with another dragon screw.
Mm-hmm.
Looks for Deeb talks. Riho reverses that into a roll up that gets her a 2 count. Riho's looking for a crucifix pin. Deeb escapes that. Starts slamming Riho's knee on the mat. Sinks in a deep single leg crab. Like Riho's foot was basically touching the back of her head.
It was so close. It was like inches away from the back of her head, and Riho ended up tapping out. Yeah, man, this was like match. Just wonderful psychology, just like working that leg. Great story being told. Very simple stuff, but very effective. This is a really great match. Serena Deeb, still your NWA Women's World's Champion since October now, so it's been a little while.
Yeah.
After that, the main card opened up with Brian Cage versus the Hangman Page. Let's talk about Brian Cage's aluminum foil cyborg outfit, man. Was that odd? Was that like revolutionary stuff right there? I mean, I thought for a second he was legitimately part cyborg. I was like, wow.
Well, he is the machine,
He's the machine. by name, and then I thought he went and got some enhancements, like in the Cyberpunk game.
Some augmentations, yes.
Yeah, but then he just took, it was like Velcro.
And then he took them off.
He just went and took them off, and it like flew away in the wind too. It was like a light breeze, and it got.
And then off it goes.
Yeah, I like this.
So like setting sun of Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I like this for a couple reasons. Number one, it featured Brian Cage. I'm sorry. Yeah, Brian Cage attempting a buckshot. I like when people go for other people's finishes. That was great. Cage attempted a buckshot, but instead Page countered with an F5 to get two, which is Brian Cage's move. Exactly.
Well, I mean, it's Brock Lesnar's, I know, but
among other people. Yeah.
Because earlier on, Brian Cage gave Page an F5 off the top.
Right. Yeah. So Cage goes on a bit of a run. Ricky Starks comes down, and he throws, while the ref is distracted, he throws the title to Cage to help. And he says, I don't need this. I don't want this thing. And he throws it back at Ricky Starks. He turns around, throws Page onto the apron, and while he turns around, Page hits him with a buckshot lariat.
I don't know why Cage threw Hangman to the apron, then turns around and starts arguing with Hook.
I think he figured that he saw enough of Page's momentum to think that he was going to be shot over the ropes, not remembering that his finish is literally one that he tried to do, starts on the apron. Bad move for Cage, but he's got all these people. He's got a Hook. He's got some, scrubby teenager, bugging him. Hey,
well, but of course, Hook looks like
can I borrow $5? Can I borrow $5, Brian?
He looks like he just woke up, so I don't know how effective he's going to be when he's got bedhead.
Hey, man, can I borrow $5? No, man. Buckshot.
Could be.
Hey,
Could
man,
be. Anyway, so afterwards, Page goes down, gets a beer, toasts the crowd, and then Starks and Hook get in the ring. They're confronting Brian Cage. Cage just kind of really gently pushes past him and walks away.
Right. It was great because on the 3 count there, all right, maybe it was on the lariat, Taz at commentary, God damn it, gets so pissed off. Commentary is wildly fun sometimes, man. It's just whoever's on there. Tony just bloodlusting during the stadium stampede.
Oh, he couldn't. He just
I hope
he just wanted MJF to get hurt.
Yeah, I hope MJF got cut by that glass. Jeez, Tony.
Oh yeah, I know. Tip that limousine over.
Yeah, tip that limousine over. After that, we had, my God, this match was fantastic. The Young Bucks versus Mox and Kingston. Of course, during the streamers coming down, it was really well timed. The Bucks were doing their posing with all the streamers, and they tell us about the shoes and the outfit, Larson.
So they had these cool outfits. They were blue, 2 different shades of blue with some orange detail and some white writing on there too. I couldn't see what it said, and they had some off-white Jordan 1s, the powder blue with the orange laces, tie it all together. I believe those are going for about $1,500 on StockX GOAT secondary market. Last I checked, I think it was around $1,500. Might be a little bit more, might be a little bit less now. Not quite the $7,500 that the Dior ones were going for, but those would come into play later. I'm not really that involved in the finish, but yeah, Mox and Kingston attack the Bucks while they're doing their pose.
And there was just a ton. I mean, that
were flying in.
That opening beatdown just took forever till the they had the time to. They basically took out the Bucks. They took out Cutler during the opening scrum. They gave him their combo finish
before the bell even rang.
Before the bell even rang, bell finally rang, and they sort of used that momentum to carry him through the early bits of the match.
Good Brothers make an appearance. Carl Anderson just kind of wanders out to the stage to serve as a distraction so Gallows can try to sneak attack Eddie Kingston. Kingston takes him out with a dive off the apron, and then Kazarian comes out to beat up Anderson. And so Matt, while that's all happening, the rest distracted. Matt sprays Mox in the eyes, cold spray, throws the can at his head. That busts open Mox. He gets a 2 count off there, and then the Bucks hit Mox with a Meltzer driver on the stage. And Moxley stumbling around all over the floor, not sure where he is, just barely beats the 10 count, and he's isolated for a good stretch. Young Bucks are mocking the Shield fist bump. They're about to do the Roman power bomb, and then Moxley hulks out. He just starts tossing the Young Bucks all over the ring. German suplexes for everybody. Tags in Kingston. He goes on a run. Puts Matt in a dragon sleeper. Nick tries to break that up, and it just irritates Eddie.
He just starts punching Eddie's face, and Eddie just doesn't. He just looks at him like mean.
Yeah, it's almost like
great.
Trance Eddie.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so he gives, I think, Nick some machine gun chops. His run doesn't really last long. He gets taken out by the Bucks. Eddie gets his knees up, though, on a Nick Swanton bomb attempt. He gets the tag into Mox. He eats a bunch of super kicks. Nick hits his 450 as Matt rolls out of a chokehold from Moxley. Mox and Kingston hits a doomsday device with the shoe on Matt. Nick breaks that pin up at the last second. Nick escapes a paradigm shift. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what he calls it.
Yeah.
The other one is in New Japan. Attempt. Locks in a sharpshooter. Kingston breaks that up. Mox hits a paradigm shift on Nick. Matt breaks that up. We got a super kick party on Mox. And they kick him like a million times and go for a pin, and he immediately kicks out of it. But then he eats four BTE triggers to finally get pinned. I'm really happy about that. I thought Kingston was going to be eating the pin here, but just give Mox 4 of their finishes in a row, and that'll do it. And he took the pin. I thought it was great.
Yeah, me too. It was a really fun match. Really fun match. That bit where he ate those super kicks and just kicks out and just fuming.
That was terrific.
Close up of him fuming with blood running down his face. It was really good. After that, we had the Casino Battle Royal. First group, first man out. Christian! Great to outwork everybody.
Out, period, work, period, everybody, period, take a nap, period, during the period, match, period. That's what he did here.
Kind of, yeah. Christian, Cage, Matt Sydal, Powerhouse Hobbs, Dustin Rhodes, Max Caster, the first group. Before the next group enters, Caster eliminates Sydal, and then Christian Cage eliminates Max Caster. The next group is Matt Hardy and Isaiah Cassidy. 10. And 10 happens to fend off an attack from Matt Hardy and Cassidy.
Yeah, they just sort of wait at the
tunnel. They were waiting there to jump him.
Yeah.
And he fends them off. Nick Camarado, Serpentico. During that group, 10 eliminates Serpentico pretty quickly. Dustin eliminates Camarado and 10. And Camarado then clocks Dustin with the cowbell, and that allows Will Hobbs to get the elimination on Dustin. We get a brief little moment between Matt Hardy and Christian, where no one else in the ring. They got a bit of a showdown.
That's one thing that WWE's really good at doing is milking those kind of moments. And it's like, man, you have them both. And they had another moment a little bit later on, but it was cool to see them in the ring together. You just want to get a close up on that and really milk it a bit more.
Yeah,
let the crowd get jazzed by it.
I know. Because right as that was about to happen, Cassidy hits Cage from behind with a chop block. Next group comes out. It's Varsity Blondes, Colt Cabana, Anthony Bowens, and Penta. And Penta's got this great Joker-inspired gear. I mean, 10 had a Joker-inspired mask, but Penta's gear was next level.
This was beautiful.
It was great.
Beautiful stuff.
It was great. So during that group, Matt Hardy eliminates Colt. Varsity Blondes eliminates Anthony Bowens, and then Matt Hardy eliminates Griff Garrison. Next group out was Jungle Boy, Mark Quinn, Aaron Solo, Evil Uno, and Lee Johnson. So Private Party eliminate Pillman Jr. Lee Johnson eliminates Solo, and then Matt Hardy quickly eliminates Lee Johnson. Penta eliminates Uno, and Jungle Boy eliminates Penta. And then Christian eliminates Will Hobbs. And then the Joker was
Leo Rush,
who's
also Spider-Man in AAA. So he's two characters.
Sadly, he didn't last long.
No,
he ended up getting eliminated by Matt Hardy while Leo was trying to eliminate Private Party. But then Jungle Boy eliminates Private Party. So you have Christian, Matt Hardy, and Jungle Boy, the final three. So Matt Hardy is talking to Christian, in a very animated way, so people in the cheap seats can see, hey, we have history. Let's work together. They do the I don't know what they call it, but you know what I mean.
Like a team
extreme, like fist pound type thing. Yeah. And then Christian just immediately tosses Matt Hardy out. So the final two is Christian Cage, Jungle Boy. Actually, a really good sequence on the apron. Sometimes these sequences on the apron that lead to elimination can be kind of clunky. This one was really good. It was pretty crisp.
Yeah. It was a lot. It was very ambitious, and they pulled it off pretty decently.
Yeah. There's that bit where Jungle Boy was gonna was charging Christian. He gets out of the way, and rather than running off the ramp and being eliminated, he kind of uses momentum to swing around the ring post, get to the other side. In the end, Jungle Boy eliminates Christian to get the win. Jurassic Express, Marco, and Luchasaurus come out to celebrate with Jungle Boy, and Christian says, "Hey, you better go win that title," and then gives him a hug.
No word yet on if Lio Rush is actually signed. He's been like everywhere. He's been in MLW lately.
Yeah, he's been
been
all over
in
the place.
AAA, obviously, New Japan. So he's been in a lot of places.
I mean, if AEW can sign him, or if he wants to sign with AEW, that's a good signing because he's really good.
And Mark
He's
Henry,
really
his
good.
best friend, is there now.
Yes.
Not actually his best friend.
There was a worry during the Battle Royal that Christian might have gotten hurt because he was kind of limping around a little bit, like the rest were checking on him.
Yeah, and the wrestler started milling about. Yeah.
Yeah, but he made it through the rest of the match. So
Yeah, he did. I mean, that last sequence was very
Crisp.
impressive. It was very
crisp.
impressive. Yeah, it was a lot for an old guy like that. After that, we had a really wonderful bit with like veterans because Memorial Day and stuff like that, which of course is the lead-in to Cody versus Ogogo. Ogogo got the gut punch in pretty early, but it wasn't. I would have thought that moment would have been milked a little bit more because that's what everybody's waiting for. And that was the one I think when he got the punch in, Cody went down. No, the ropes one was later when he got the gut punch in the uppercut.
yeah,
wasn't it?
this one it was a gut punch and then an Olympic slam and went for the cover.
And he only got a 2 on that.
Well, remember Cody during the conference call said that he was doing extra training to make sure his obliques and his abs were stronger in anticipation of the gut punch. Special training for it.
He had that
worked out for him.
He also, I believe, I'm not mistaken, had Wrestling News Now said that he had like metal stomach protector implanted into his stomach.
Real source.
It was a new rumor that said Cody has metal in his stomach.
Anyway, let's get back to this. So for most of the match, it's like every time Cody mounted some offense, Ogogo would have a response. Like Cody would hit a power slam. Ogogo hits a boot. Cody tries to work Ogogo's hand. He would have an answer for it more often than not. Then things first started kind of going south for Ogogo. So he hits that frog splash after Cody's trying to work his ribs. Gogo hits a gut punch, then punch to the jaw, goes up top, hits a frog splash. It gets him a 2. So Cody hits a drop kick, locks onto figure 4, and Ogogo's like, selling it, punches him. So Cody does a flat back, ref counts pinfall, counts 2. Ogogo then reverses the pressure on the kick out. So Cody after that goes for a crossroads. Ogogo escapes that, gut punch, uppercut, goes for the pin, but then Cody's hands under the ropes.
Okay.
Inexperience.
Yeah.
So the ref's like, no, you can't go for the cover. So Ogogo picks him up, hits a dominator, gets a 2. Ogogo's going for a pop-up punch. Cody escape, vertebreaker, Cody wins.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't feel like there was really a build to that
Yeah,
finish.
right. It wasn't the most dramatic finish, yeah.
Like, Ogogo seemingly had an answer for most of what Cody had. Cody escaped a move, hits a vertebreaker, and then that's all it takes to win.
Yeah, I know.
Like, they didn't, like, the whole, leading up to it, there's all that news about Ogogo having a rib injury.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Cody managed to take away Ogogo's, best weapons.
Yeah. It's just something about it. I don't know. Maybe it was, maybe something about it just felt underwhelming. Like, even the match itself just felt underwhelming. And I don't know. There's just something weird about it. There's just something I don't know. There's something off about the entire thing. Like, I just get the feeling that Cody was going for something and the feedback just killed whatever juice he had coming into this match.
I don't know.
Just sort of feels that way. Like a vertebrae, you can't just give him a couple of crossroads. Anyways, I mean, I thank God, the vertebraker looks like a tough move to take. Like a tough move to take.
And hats off to Ogogo. As soon as he's in position, tuck that chin.
Not just tucked his chin, but his core was working because he was flexed up for that, which is how you want to do it.
Yep.
So yeah, after that we had a monster battle, Miro versus Lance Archer. Hoss fight. Before had the bell even started? Yeah.
Yeah, Archer was making his way to the ring and just did like a slingshot shoulder tackle on the Miro.
Yeah.
And they start brawling all over the place. Fight goes down to the floor. There's a bunch of back and forth down there. It's fun. Archer puts Miro through a table on the floor. Hits Miro with a fun splash in the ring. Miro hits a spinning heel kick. Anyway, this is a bunch of back and forth. Eventually, Jake, who they showed in a video package earlier, had been taken out, I think, during the Fan Fest yesterday.
Okay. Oh,
wanders down the ring with what you presume is a snake because he's carrying his bag.
Right, yeah.
So Miro brings him into the ring. Archer charges Miro. Miro kicks him. And then Miro picks up the snake bag and then chucks it up the stage.
Oh, wow.
There probably wasn't a snake in there.
No, there's definitely not a snake in there.
Definitely not
a chance.
Not a chance. So he's about to lay out Jake. But he ends up running into a choke slam from Archer. Miro kicks out of that. Archer's looking for a blackout. Miro escape, hits a bunch of strikes. Archer pounces him. Miro rolls to the floor. They make their way back up towards the apron. And as Archer's getting back into the ring, Miro kicks the bottom rope into Archer's front area, hits a suplex from the apron into the ring effortlessly.
Yeah.
Effortlessly.
Yeah.
Hits a Mashka kick. Tries to lock on. Game over. Lance powers out for a moment. Miro hits him with a bunch of knees in the back. Locks it in. Lance passes out. Miro
pretty quickly, too. He passed out pretty quickly. It had a bit of a WE feel to it, but I thought it was a fun match anyways.
Mm-hmm. It was a fun match.
After that, we had, which probably my straight up wrestling match of the night was.
Before we get to this, let's just mention this real quick because we knew that All Out was going to be in Chicago, but they announced the date.
Yeah, September 5th. Yeah, that's cool. The day before my birthday. We had Hikaru Shida defending her AEW Women's Championship against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and man, this is a really fun match. It'll be interesting to see a couple things. Number one, where does the partnership between Britt Baker and Rebel go from here? Because Rebel was all over the place. She was kind of a mess during this match. Britt Baker is champion. The crowd, regardless of whether they want her to be a bad guy or not, I mean, hopefully they just, I don't know. I guess the thing is, who are they going to put her against at this point? If the crowd is just cheering her, are they going to put her against bad guys? Are they going to put her against good guys? What are they going to do? How are they going to treat her? Because she can keep on, she can have the same attitude and still be loved by fans. But then it just turns into who are they going to put her with? Very interested to see where that's going to go. This was a hell of a match. The false finishes in this match were awesome. Because there were 5 times when I was like, oh, man, wow, Shida's totally going to win. No? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, Britt was kicking out of everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Falcon Arrow kicked out. Shining Wizard kicked out. Gets hit in the head with a crutch, kicks out. Yeah, they had Britt kick out of everything. Everything.
Yeah.
We can just kind of fast forward to the finish, I guess, unless there's some particular moments you want to talk to.
So, the finish saw a bunch of stuff with Rebel, but early on, Shida hit a sort of a last shot 1.0 on Britt, and Rebel had tried to grab her foot and missed, and that sort of foretold just how much of a mess she was towards the finish. So go ahead.
So, but at that point, that had already happened. Plus the crutch shot to Britt's head. So Rebel's on the apron distracting the refs. The ref's like, all right, you're out of here. But she's arguing with the ref this whole time. And so the title makes its way in the ring. Britt hits a curb stomp on the title, covers Shida. Shida kicks out. But right on the kick out, Britt, at this point, she already had the glove on. Tries to sink in lockjaw. Shida rolls her up, gets a 2. So Shida hits a jumping knee, follows that with a Shining Wizard. Britt kicks out of that. Right out of that kick out, Britt rolls up Shida, gets a 2 count, and then right out of that kick out, right into lockjaw.
Yeah.
And she gets it sunk in. Shida has to tap.
Yeah.
A really cool moment as Britt was making her way up towards the tunnel. Tony Schiavone, Lee's commentary, comes over, gives Britt a hug. Pretty cool moment.
Now, the one thing that people are, Ricky points this out here, that people are pointing out is when Rebel hit Britt on accident with the crutch, the ref didn't call it a DQ. You just got to figure that this is a big match. The ref was going to let it go, I guess.
Rebel is in Britt's corner. If Rebel had hit Shida with the crutch, then yes, that's not DQ.
Is that? I mean, this is the first time this is the first time I've seen a DQ offense from somebody cornering somebody else right in front of the ref.
Yeah, I've seen it before. Yeah, the ref sees stuff like this, and if someone's in your corner does something that would be cause a DQ if it was done to your opponent, but if it's done to the person and you're cornering, it's not a DQ. I've seen it before. I can't think of an example offhand, but I've seen it before.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, There you go then.
I don't know about AEW, but I've seen it before in wrestling. So
after that, we had Darby Allin and Sting versus Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. This was so much fun. This was just a blast. It started off Darby just killing Page and Sky with an insane suicide dive. Well, it started off with like a really cool little Darby Allin short film where basically just Sting picks him up in a car and says it's showtime. But it was really well done. It was really cool. It was on black and white. One of his gritty student films. So Scorpio takes Sting up to the stage, gives him a suplex on the stage, and immediately we're like, oh, that has to suck. And then Sting just gets up. Scorpio doesn't realize this and walks over to like one of the stacks of poker chips and is like sort of celebrating to the crowd. And Ethan points, says, hey, pay attention. And Sting had just strolled up behind him.
Great.
And they have this great shot of Scorpio like freaking out and looking behind him. And then I think Sting like shoves him down to the ground or something like that and ends up doing like a fun splash from there onto Sky and Page. It was just awesome. And then Sting, who of course usually wears a shirt, took his shirt off. He looks like $1,000,000. He looks great for 62 years old.
I know.
He looks great for 42 years old, but he looks fantastic.
Yep.
There's a great bit. Of course, Ethan Page and Darby Allin have a lot of history, so they were doing all sorts of crazy stuff. The craziest part probably was Ethan Page picks up Darby Allin and chucks him clear into the crowd. It's onto his like family, I think, family and friends. It was like his brothers were out there. So they were the ones to be tasked with catching him. So he's the legal man at that point. So Sting drags him out and he has a decision to make. Do I, like, for the sake of the match, roll him back in to beat the 10 count, or do I try to take care of him and just eat the loss here on the count out? Well, he doesn't have to make the choice because at 9, Darby just comes to and runs back in. And Sting is like, okay, I guess we're going to go ahead and do this. At that point, of course, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky were able to isolate him. Page goes for Ego's edge on Darby, but Darby's able to kick Sky away and hold on to the ring post with his feet. He ends up turning that into a stunner on Page, gets the hot tag to Sting. We get some Stinger splashes and a code red from Sting, which I thought was great. He got 2 with that. Darby tagged in. Sky, he goes up top. Scorpio Sky sort of hits him and knocks him out for a little bit. Page takes out Sting's leg, throws Darby on Sting. Sting puts Darby... I'm sorry, no, that's not right. Sting puts Page in the deathlock. Sky puts Darby in the heel hook, and so Page and Darby are like face to face, and they start punching each other while they're in submission moves,
like gouging each other's eyes. And stuff.
Raking their faces and stuff like that. Aubrey's finally like, look, there needs to be 2 people that are legal in this ring right now, so she breaks them all up, and then Sting ends up. Well, Darby takes care of Page. Sting hits a Scorpion Death Drop on Sky for 3. Just wildly entertaining stuff.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was really fun. After that, we had the AEW Championship bout, Pac versus Orange Cassidy versus Kenny Omega. A really fun match. I kind of like one aspect, or like the kind of main story of this one was Pac wanted to take out Kenny, but Kenny wanted to take out Cassidy, and Cassidy wanted to take out Kenny.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was so there's a couple sequences where something would happen and one would throw the other person out of the way to hit a certain spot, or, you know, to make sure someone else got the impact of a shot. Interesting dynamic. I thought it was a lot of fun. Early on, Pac and Kenny hit the double fun splash spot. Prior to that, Cassidy been tossed out of the ring. He gets back in, tries to cover each of them, goes on a bit of a run. This match just went all over the place. Yeah,
it was. Let's do the fast forward thing, because this was wildly fun. Like, the majority of this match was really great. The match was really, really terrific, and I feel like it was one of the. It really, honestly, you know, this match kind of felt like and the end was just different. But it really felt like it had the heat of like that. Remember that early Triple H Jericho match where Jericho won and then Triple H bullied the ref? It had that kind of heat for Orange Cassidy, because that crowd was hot for Jericho back in the day, and they were ready, and we all knew it wasn't going to happen. I was just a bit disappointed by just how ridiculous it got with Callis throwing Kenny the belt. Number one, so the finish.
I'll go. Yeah, we go through the sequence because some of the stuff that is prior to the belt pit was actually pretty good. So Pac's looking to powerbomb Orange again. We knew what happened last time. Orange escapes that, hits him with the Superman punch, hits Kenny with the Superman punch, hits another one on Pac, covers, but Callis pulls the ref out during the cover.
Yeah.
So Orange kind of gives Callis a stare. He goes up top. Kenny's grabbing his ankles, just trying to keep him from doing anything. Because at this point, Kenny's pretty much laid out. Orange fights him off, looking for a diving DDT on Pac. Pac fends that off, locks on a brutalizer. So Kenny gets in there, tries to break it up. He boots Pac a couple times. Pac's not letting go. He keeps booting him. Not happening. So rather than go after Pac anymore, Kenny hits the ref with a double axe handle.
Mm-hmm.
It's while the ref is out, that's when Callis starts throwing belts in the ring. He throws the Impact title, the Mega title, the TNA title, and finally the AEW title. With each title, Kenny hits Pac with it. After all those shots, Orange gets back in the ring, hits Kenny with an orange punch, makes the cover, but the ref's out, so Aubrey Edwards has to run in. Starts counting the pinfall. Kenny kicks out right into a crucifix pin to pin Cassidy. So Kenny's winning by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah.
You know,
under the most ridiculous circumstances, but yeah. Where do you see this? How do you see this playing out?
Oh, Orange will get a one-on-one match with Kenny at some point.
Well, yeah, he's going to lose that though, because Orange isn't taking the title off Kenny.
No.
I'm just if he gets more and more desperate in terms of, man, I mean it's just going to end up, it's probably just going to end up with Hangman winning it at All Out is really what it should, because I can only take so much of this kind of stuff where this is how Kenny wins matches. But I mean, hey, it's a triple threat. It's no DQ, so I guess
it's not breaking any rules.
It's all legal.
Ref was out anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If it wasn't no DQ. We had a couple of announcements. First, Full Gear. They announced Full Gear November 6th in St. Louis, and then Tony Schiavone hits the ring to talk AEW Rampage and to announce a new analyst they have for the show. It's World's Strongest Man, Mark Henry. I'm so hyped. Mark Henry's great.
Yeah, it's great. I'd like to see him wrestle.
Yeah, maybe he will. Maybe he will a little bit. Maybe like, when Paul White signed with AEW, he's like, yeah, he's here to do commentary for Elevation, but yeah, he's not, he might wrestle.
Less. I want to see that less. Mark Henry, yes. Paul White.
Mark Henry's great.
Paul White, you can stay at commentary. He was my pick for
the Joker, yeah.
The Joker. It's kind of all I wanted. Stadium Stampede was next. This was friggin' hilarious.
This was pretty ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous. It was hilarious. The beginning, it's funny because it was the most ridiculous at the beginning, and then I guess it got less. Because the beginning was MJF rolls up in a limo. He's got the most ridiculous street fight gear on. He's got like a tucked in sleeveless Pinnacle shirt. He's got like some sparkly faux jeans with like a racing stripe down him. He looks like the biggest dork in the world.
He had his jeans tucked into his boots, and then he had his usual knee pads on.
Yeah.
With the same pattern that he has on his scarf.
Yeah. So he gets out of a limo. He cuts a promo, says this is the end of the line for the Inner Circle. Then you hear the Judas music kick in. He's like, oh, what's going on? And you got the Inner Circle coming down.
Rappelling down the scoreboard.
Rappelling down. Yes, thank you. And there's one, they're like rappelling, and then you see Jericho, and he sort of rappels down kind of quick, and then like stops, and he swings around. It's like, oh God. Like, obviously it was pre-taped. They're not going to show a man plummet to his death. We would have heard about that. But still, it was pretty funny, and it keeps on cutting back to MJF, and he's acting.
It was always a thing where it's like, here, you got to react like this is happening.
Yeah, they filmed it at a different time.
When you're there.
They filmed it at a different time. Yeah. So he just looks like he's looking for his car in a parking lot.
Yeah.
So it's silly as hell. There's like some goofy like fire type pyro that they have for them.
With the wind was kicking in, so it was kind of blowing the fire kind of horizontal half the time.
It was so corny, but I love it because it's just what Stadium Stampede is at this point. And I don't know if they're gonna do another one. I hope they do, but it's just corny as all get out.
It really is.
I mean, it's funny because any suggestion. I guess it was Dax or somebody who said, oh, this isn't going to be a comedy thing. It's going to be brutal. No, man. It wasn't even as brutal as the first Stadium Stampede. That had like a bunch more like, crazy stuff going on.
Yeah.
But it didn't make this any less entertaining. So the F Truck R shows up with the rest of Pinnacle. There's a barrel of fire, which they did not use. I mean, there, at one point, I think Sammy was kind of trying to dunk Spears in it, but like they didn't use it at all after that.
They didn't really go back to it at all, no.
There was a ring that I think Sammy and Spears were in briefly out on the field, but of course it ended up back in Daly's place.
So people were splitting off. So you had Jericho and MJF fighting. They were going through the Jacksonville Jaguars offices. At one point, they brawl into like either a tape study room or Urban Meyer's office. He's a new coach for the Jaguars. They go into their conference room. You have Hager and Wardlow. They go off into the walk-in freezer. Or at one point, Wardlow spears Hager through a wall. Later, Hager kind of hits an Uranagi on Wardlow through a bunch of stuff. You get Sammy and Spears. They're going like through a warehouse area, brawling a bit there. You think Sammy's going to be out of the match because Spears handcuffs him to a storage rack. Luckily for Sammy, there's some bolt cutters basically at his feet.
Yeah. And
then you have Santana Ortiz and FTR and Tully, who are in some like nightclub situation. The DJ is Conan.
Yeah.
And Tully pours them all some drinks before the fight starts. They down them and they brawl, in through there. Conan keeps Tully from getting involved at one point. Then Jericho and MJF make their way back towards Daly's place. They're brawling like on the second deck, like teetering on the guardrail.
Yeah.
Jericho power bombs MJF through a table that's maybe 2 feet away from the guardrail.
Yeah.
And then also Sammy and Spears make the way down towards the ringside area. Sammy's chasing after Spears with the field cart. Sammy's history with the field cart. He hits Spears with it. They end up back in the ring. Spears takes a chair to Sammy a couple times. Why does after that second chair shot, why he just didn't start blasting Sammy with the chair is beyond me. Instead, he sets up in the corner. That allows time for Sammy to come to. He hits his go to feast your eyes. I don't know what he calls it.
GTH.
Yeah. Hits that, and then hits a 630 after that.
That was rad.
To get the pin. Oh, first he boots Spears into the chair that had been set up in the corner, and then hits a 630 to get the win for Inner Circle, which makes sense given Sammy is the one who gave up it blood and guts. Makes all the sense in the world for him to get the win for his team this time around. After you could say that he cost them blood and guts.
Yeah, I like that. It's like they're not just going to focus on the two guys, like the two leaders. They give Sammy some redemption, which is really good storytelling. Spears has to be pretty happy. He's in a really good spot now compared to where he was in WWE. He's a member of a faction, but he has like stuff to do. That's what you always want. I thought it was super entertaining. Corny, cheesy, what have you, but I love that stuff in wrestling. I thought that tonight, more than anything, we had the full variety of what AEW has to offer when it comes to really good wrestling, some good storytelling, some WWE type stuff, and then the Stadium Stampede stuff. We had Sting.
And whatever it is Cody's doing.
Whatever it is Cody's doing. We're going to keep an eye on that, Cody. Anyways, dad to be. So thanks everybody for tuning in. That's going to do it for us today. Tomorrow, probably closer to 1 p.m. Pacific than noon, our usual time, at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. We'll be back with News Brief live at the twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. And then, of course, we'll be doing our Raw recap tomorrow night after the show. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Twitch chat, stick around. We'll answer some of your questions. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Help support Going In Raw today by becoming a Friendo Club TV member. You'll get access to new bonus episodes every week, including Friendo Club Arcade, Live Power Rank, Vintage 10 for the Wins, and Ask Steve and Larson. Get access to Friendo Club TV today by becoming a $5 and up patron at patreon.com/Steve and Larson, by throwing us a sub at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson, or by clicking join at youtube.com/Steve and Larson.